High speed, wide lanes, big runs, and one last tune-up before the real thing. Tonight, Maconi Entertainment brings you back to Michigan International Speedway. Jeff Maconi, Andy Jankowiak, and a bunch of other stars you may know square off in virtual ARCA machinery on one of the fastest tracks on the schedule. So glad you could join us here on Maconi Entertainment. Marty Sakala alongside Ron Mons with us, and Howie Burrows working in Mission Control. And Ron, we've had a lot of fun doing these Maconi versus Jankowiak challenges. We started things off at Watkins Glen a couple weeks ago. We were at Lanier a couple weeks back, as well as a tune-up for Toledo. Now we're at Michigan in advance of Friday night's race, which can be seen at 5 o'clock Eastern Time on FS2. We should be in for a treat with this one.
Yeah, this is going to be super, super fun. Trading out the twisty and challenging road course of Watkins Glen and that bull ring of a short track at Lanier. Here now in the rolling hills of Michigan, Michigan International Speedway, a 2-mile behemoth. Really the originator of this kind of 2-mile D-shaped oval configuration that was eventually copied by the now defunct Texas World Speedway and the also now defunct Fontana Speedway out there in California. This track, they knew what they were doing way back in the day when they first put pen to paper and put asphalt down on the ground. Even to this day, it holds some pretty awesome racing action every single year. I'm looking forward to seeing what this may be in the sim. Maybe a stressful night for these drivers once we get off into the nitty-gritty.
So tonight is 50 laps around the 2-mile oval in the Irish Hills. This is a place where momentum is going to be king. The drivers will be going full throttle here. That draft can bring you right back into the fight, and then one small mistake off turn 2 or turn 4 can echo all the way down the straights.
Yeah, so this is going to be a pretty fun race for sure. And you mentioned some of the challenges around this place. Got to talk about the speeds as well here. You know, ARCA, not exactly the fastest division in the world, but they are still absolutely ripping it around this place. The speeds are going to be high. The stress is going to be high as well. Just seeing some of these drivers still out there on the racetrack here in qualifying. Speeds knocking on the door of 200 here in ARCA machinery. That is thunderously quick.
So a good car count here of drivers this evening. We had 25 drivers that took part in practice, 21 drivers taking time here out of qualifying, as we've got just about 20 seconds left until we take the green flag. It's going to be a lot of fun here. Last time we had this battle, well, first off, we should say Jeff Maconi 2-0 against Andy Jankowiak. But last time out, we had a fun race and a fun finish with the checkered flag, as it was Thomas Annunziata that edged out Matt Kemp in a photo finish. So we're set to go racing here. Let's take a look at the starting lineup here for this evening. Western New York driver as well, Trent Curtis, UB alumni ARCA driver on pole position. His time was a very fast one in qualifying at a 37.904 with Matt Kemp on the outside in the number 10. His home track based out of Michigan. Row number 2, now you see Andy Seiss starting in third. That is Andy Jankowiak. He is running his car owner's account this evening. Andy J starting from third with Morgan Bayard, also an ARCA driver on the outside, starting in fourth. Frankie Klein fifth in car number 33 to the outside. It's Thomas Rogers Jr. in the 2. Row 4, Keegan Soberlo, also up-and-coming racing driver from Michigan in the 77 with Matthew Garland to the outside in the 11. And round out the top 10 is Jeff Maconi himself, the 86, and Joseph Bobeck in the 24.
And looking from there, Eric Martinez going to start this race in 11th next to Dylan Alt in P12. Right behind them, row number 7, we'll see Alexander Ortega next to Isaiah Flight. And then from there, it is going to be your 8th row comprised of Jake Bowman next to Tyler Burns. And then from there, after your row is going to be Corey Williams alongside our very own Maconi Entertainment colleague, Jeremy Briggs, starting this race in 18th place. And then riding at your top 20 will be Taylor Butcher Benjamin next to James Hunt Jr.
21st of the lineup is JC in the 17 with Brandon Lopez next to him in the 6. And then 23rd on the grid will be Jack Leslie. 24th is Jason Ritchie. 25th, Joseph Colesall Jr. And that is how the field will line up for tonight's race. Again, as I mentioned, 50 laps around the 2-mile D-shaped oval. Field window a little bit interesting as I was doing my research coming in. It looks like it's going to be 45 to 50 laps. A caution flag of the drivers should be good to go the distance. If this goes green to checkered, it may see a little bit of fuel saving. We have to keep an eye on that. One extra set of tires that the drivers have, and as well one quick repair if needed, if involved in an accident.
And I will say, talking about the weather for this race here, it's pretty optimal. Currently looking at 78 degrees Fahrenheit for that ambient temperature, 87 degrees Fahrenheit for the track temp. We are running off into the evening, currently pushing at about 6:07 p.m. In sim time. So track will only get cooler from here, which is going to be a racer's dream.
Absolutely will. Keys to victory as we get set to go before we go green, Ron?
Well, I think it will be just main key will probably be to remain level-headed. You know, we were talking a little bit before we got up and rolling here in this broadcast about if this race does run clean and green to the end, these drivers will have to worry about some odd strategy calls that may have to be made in terms of fuel runs. But with a field this big and a track this challenging, I think just keeping your nose clean is going to be enough of a task.
Well, field makes their way through turns number 3 and 4. We're glad you could join us on Maconi Entertainment for all the action. Round number 3 on Maconi versus Jankowiak. As we say, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? It is a fast track front row. Curtis and Kemp bring us to green. It's showtime in Michigan. See a little bit of 3 wide through 1 and 2. That's Matthew Garland to the 11th, stuck in the middle, along with the 33 of Frankie Klein. It could be 3 wide for the race lead as Andy J tried to get the run, but it's Kemp with the advantage. Morgan Baird, also an ARCA driver, right in the 2nd spot. Thomas Rogers Jr. round out the top 3. 3 wide again for 4. Dylan Alton is in that Kyle Larson 42 guy. That 2 ride. That's one of the NASCAR drivers out of the Hayek Motorsports camp. Now tries to get the draft here off for Rogers Jr. as they're 2 and 3 abreast at the line. Lap 1 led by Kemp, Ron.
And drivers already running off of the apron there in the midfield, trying to find any way in the book to get past. Look at this hornet's nest as they head their way downtown into 1 and 2. Matt Kemp looking to check out at the front of the field. Morgan Baird directly behind him in 2nd. Thomas Rogers Jr. completing her top 3 as it stands at the moment. They are still side by side and 3 wide there in the pack, though. Keep an eye on that 71.
Again, the draft is very key here at MIS. One driver nearly squeezing another up on the wall is Matthew Garland, a Legends car racer, racing 34 of Isaiah Flight, 24 Joseph Boback for position. As one up on the wall as well, that was Flight down into Garland. Everybody hangs on for right now, but it's just a traffic jam. In the center of 1 and 2, here comes Keegan Sopolo in that 77, also a real-life racer. More door banging going down the backstretch, and this is also allowing here the top 6 to break away from this pack here, Ron.
Yeah, so in all that battling, it's allowing your drivers at the front of the field to just get away from this madness.
Oh,
As contact heading out of 4.
Up in the air is the 79. That's Tyler Burns. Andy J also involved. James Hunt Jr. spins. Eric Martinez spins. Yellow lights are on for the first time tonight on lap 4.
Unfortunately there, Jeff getting into a couple of cars, kick-starting that incident. We'll take a look at the replay here momentarily to show you exactly what took place as they headed their way out of turn number 4. But it was an ugly, ugly sight. I said that I didn't have a good feeling about this, and that's exactly what happened. Contact there. Maconi getting into the side of the 79, gets him wiggly. He fires it off into the barrier that's stacking up behind.
Yeah, tough deal there off the corner as we're going for the same piece of real estate. And watch Burns get rammed there off of the corner with Andy J. Another angle here. Watch Taylor Butcher Benjamin in the 16. Did you see there as well before they changed the shot? They were nearly 5 wide off the corner too, Ron. A great
yeah,
mess
no, they've been
DVB.
tempting fate for a while. it was it was getting very, very ugly in the early stages of this race. The fact they were going side by side threatened most of that pack. 3 wide thread, a decent amount of it as well. As there you can see the madness going down there. The thing is with those heavy battles, it's just law of averages coming back to bite these drivers where the sun doesn't shine. You can't battle for that long and have it end completely smooth. Something's going to go down. RN Jesus will not smile upon you fondly after battling for that for so long.
On board with James Hunt Jr.
See immediate warning lights there on the dash.
We bring you back to live coverage here, and so all ARCA drivers in the top 3, Kemp, Bayard, and Curtis, with NASCAR driver Dylan Alt. And what a jump he had for the drop of the green flag. Already up 8 positions here, Ron.
Yeah, that is an incredible start, and to get that sort of run going already, we're just a 10th of the way into this race, so to get the ball rolling that quickly is going to be real impressive. Keep an eye as we go on throughout this race to see any more drivers looking to charge their way through the field. In the meantime, as a result of that incident, we do have drivers coming down pit lane here. We were worried about whether or not this race would get feisty towards the end if it ran clean and green to the checkered flag, but we won't have to worry about that under the first yellow. And based off of how hard those drivers were battling here, Marty, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that may not be the only yellow that we get here in this race. Those drivers were just going for the jugular from the get-go.
So come back to green here in just a moment. Field doubled up again. Henry Ford Health 200 for the ARCA Menards Series. Friday evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch it live on FS2. Glad you could join us here on Maconi Entertainment. Marty Sakala, Ron Mons with you. Howie Burrows with producing. If you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Let us know who you're rooting for. This is funny. The admin for the KLAS Motorsports YouTube page says, well, this explains our driver not answering his phone.
That would do it every time.
I think they're referring to why it's Andy, why he's using Andy Seiss's account.
You know, if I had $1 for every little bit of odd terminology here, every little bit of iRacing identity theft that I've seen over the past 24 hours, I would have a couple of nickels already. That's not the first time that I've seen that. I've seen people use other people's Discord accounts here. It's been an odd 24 hours, but either way, we like seeing Andy J out there on the racetrack. So, hey, whatever way we can get it, that's what matters, I suppose.
So let's reset the field here. First caution out is Jeff Maconi caught the 79 of Tyler Burns, and we'll bring you back to green right here, right now. As Matt Kemp, Morgan Bayard, row 1. Trent Curtis, Dylan Alt, row 2. Thomas Rogers Jr., Joseph Bobeck, row 3. Matthew Garland and Keegan Sobilo, row 4. And right off the top 10, Frankie Klein and Jake Bowman. Field stacks up double file as we're ready to go back to green. 7 laps go up on the board, this time by at MIS. Yep, able to hold serve thanks to the draft of his fast track teammate in Trent Curtis. Here comes a run by Alt in that 23-42 ride. Alt down the bottom where you want to be. That's the fastest groove here at Michigan. Is there 3 wide off the corner, more being and banging with Garland caught up in the middle. Jake Bowman making his way through to pick up a couple of spots. Here's the challenge though for the race lead. Alt trying to look low though. Thought about it on Kemp, pulls up to the corner panel, but doesn't have the draft he needs though as the fast track teammates all working together up top. Kemp still leading on Curtis. All trying to get the momentum into turn 1, Ron.
Yeah, and unlike the first time around when your top pack was breaking away, the field's still packed in like sardines early on this restart. Your top two maybe got to start to squabble. As farther behind, it's definitely a fight.
Oh, hang on, Bayard. Oh, they're wrecking further back. 33 sideways. And Williams hard to the wall. Caution flag waves.
Yeah, and smoke up in the air. Hard impacts for the front end of both of those race cars. Let's take a look at a replay to see what went wrong here.
And Dylan Alt also, meanwhile, disconnected in the middle of this. Watch this heavy crash. Bang! Great camera work. Now he burrows in mission control. I don't know who's got the camera angles there, but well done. Watch Frank Klein in the 33. Catches the wall and just comes down in Williams, who doesn't see that coming. And they both take sledgehammer shots.
Yeah, unfortunately,
now,
there was
Michigan,
a... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just a classic double doink that caused that incident. Technically a triple doink with the hit into the barrier, but I digress.
Michigan is a tough racetrack when it comes to the caution flags, because this is one of the few tracks on iRacing where iRacing will throw the yellow flag as the even if they're wrecking on the skid pad or on the apron or below. But we were seeing some big runs by a couple of drivers. Alt was one of them, and he's actually disconnected from the session. He's called it a race. But Jake Bowman, the ARCA Menards Series points leader, also making some runs there through 3 and 4, or through 1 and 2, I should say. He'll restart in 4th. A couple of drivers will come down pit road, I believe, here to top off on fuel at the moment. If not, we make some in-car adjustments here, pit road adjustments. Keegan Sobolo, a Kowicki Driver Development Program semi-finalist this year. Bobek also pitting, same with Ortega, Briggs, a couple more drivers. And again, with that hard crash that Briggs and Klein had, they can use a quick repair and back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, so once again, a series of pit stops here in this race, and a very hectic start, I think it is fair to say, but not too surprising if I am being honest here, Marty. I looked at this field, I looked at how competitive it is, and you just consider the kind of racing that you get here with the ARCA cars at Michigan. We got the opportunity to cover this combination just about a year ago here on Maconi Entertainment in one of the old Jeff Maconi ARCA boot camp races. I believe we were on the call for that as well, Marty. I believe Howie may have been in the production truck for that too. I really think that it's... I wouldn't say it's, you know, just you got a herd of cats all going for the same little baggie of catnip, but that's kind of what we got going on.
Yeah, this is... I guess you could consider this as well maybe a boot camp race too, since it's a sim practice session for the drivers going into Friday night's race at MIS. Alrighty, Kemp, Curtis, Bayard, Bowman, and Garland. That's the top 5 as we come back to green with 11 laps complete.
Oh, is already slicing and dicing there in the mid-pack. That was a pretty aggressive move there from Jack Leslie in the number 26 machine. He's looking for a spot inside the top 5, make that 4th as he's side-by-side at the moment with Jake Bowman, but still competitive as they head their way on the backstretch.
Curtis trying to get a run on Bayard. Bowman, Garland behind, trying to get the toe at the same time. Kemp comes down, cuts off the bottom with Curtis following him. Up the hill, Bowman a little bit tight as Garland races him for 4th. Bowman actually catches the wall. That allows Jack Leslie to gain a spot here at the moment. And again, you can't be losing any steam. If you catch the wall there off of turn 2, Michigan can be a momentum killer at the same time as it's 3 wide for just a moment in turn 1.
On the 3 wide racing has been pretty common so far here, but it's getting physical. It's getting nasty with the 16.
Got turned. almost got turned, I should say, saved it off the bumper of Andy J, and heavy right front damage to the 16. That's a steering arm broken on DBB. We'll keep watching, though, this race up front for the race lead. Garland now up to the 4th position. Curtis hoping to get a slipstream off the 8 at the same time. Side by side, though, for 5th. Bowman back in it. Makes the pass on Leslie. One driver re-entering the racing surface. That's Bo back in the 24. Couple laps down, though. Here's a run, though, for Garland for the bottom step of the podium, Ron. Ooh, yeah, boy! Curtis just about fishtailed there for a moment off for 4.
Oh, as you can see, nearly ending in disaster. A little bit further behind, that was Leslie and Bowman as they headed their way out of turn number 4 onto the start finish straight away. It's these little bits of contact that just keep getting more and more sketchy. I feel like these drivers aren't even playing with fire at this point. They are trying to juggle fire at the moment as you look at your top 2 starting a bump draft.
Lead change moments ago. Morgan Bayard taking his Aflac number 8 to the point, but here comes Kemp trying to cross over on the bottom as they drag race through 4. Kemp got tight. He may have caught the apron for just a moment. I'm not too sure. 15 laps are complete this time. Bayard leads in the line and a crisscross by Kemp. He tries to take her up on the top shelf here, possibly. He'll follow the toe, though, of Bayard into 1.
It is madness all throughout this field, but this battle for the race lead that we didn't really see get intense on the previous short green flag runs, now starting to intensify. Baird, Kemp, Garland, all covered by nothing as Garland, latest racer to dive it down the inside. This could get ugly.
Matthew Garland, this is a Legends car driver out in one of the younger divisions out at Charlotte, 3 wide for 2nd, and it's Kemp getting the bump draft from his fast track teammate in Curtis.
I'm so uncomfortable looking at that
Same.
number 11 car there, trying to get some moves done.
This is some excellent stuff. Here comes the 26 now of Jack Leslie. Garland puts a little bit of a block. The top 5 all a single file freight train, but you saw Garland got tight there in the dirty air for just a moment.
Is bouncing around and looking at your top 2. That's Kemp and Curtis heading down to turn number 1. Matt Kemp, now your leader. We've got a little game of leapfrog going on at the front of this field. Your top 5 breaking away just a little bit with a 0.6 of a second margin between Jack Leslie in 5th and Jake Bowman in P6. But this is going to get real dicey really, really soon, as if it hasn't already been dicey. We've got those same consistent names up at the front, but they all find themselves in different positions compared to just about a lap or some change ago. I'm liking this racing. It's certainly fun, but it's definitely stressy for us in the booth.
I do want to add on as well, this is also a home track for 3rd place driver Morgan Bayard. Started racing go-karts in Jackson, Michigan, not too far from Brooklyn. Hang on there. Bayard got a little bit of a hockey elbow there from Garland. And now Jack Leslie in the 26 moves up to 4th. Looking further back at some of the other drivers, you see both the 33 and the 8 were involved in that last caution flag. Oh, Leslie got turned off the bumper of Bayard. Everybody trying to scatter, and heavy contact as well. James Hunt Jr. also involved. At least 3 cars. Caution flag waves on lap 20.
More drivers piling in. Let's take a look at the replay to see what went wrong. Jack Leslie was that driver that was really cutting shapes on that restart. I was having my worries about this 26 with how aggressive he was. There's a contact with the 11. 26 files him up there, and unfortunately gets just turned by the 8 into that outside wall. Really nothing that he did there, as here comes the field. Hit once or twice. Gonna be a 3rd time here very soon as we take a look at a farther back angle of it so you can see this field coming in like madmen.
I don't think he realized how fast the 8 was coming on him with all that momentum. Watch the way that he kind of rejoins this track. That's where people were getting really mad in that situation, that he wasn't holding on to the brakes. Look at that. I can understand the frustration there of Briggs and Flight there in that situation in the chat. Now watch TBB, Taylor Butcher Benjamin. We were still green in this situation. Touches the wall here first. And then, yeah, Andy J just trying to left Nio to really do anything. And that just leads to heavy right front damage off of TBB. Catches the safer barrier there. A lot of takers that time on pit road, and again, 4 tires and fuel you can do. Now, this track was repaved into just before the 2012 summer races. A lot of tires, a lot of fuel being taken. Some drivers using some optional, if not a quick repair. But top 6 drivers stayed out here. Kemp, Garland, Bowman, Andy J, Colesall Jr., and Rogers Jr.
Yeah, so now getting to the halfway mark, I think these drivers are reaching the point now where they do have to consider just simplifying the run through to the end and getting the pit stops done with. Although we just came off the back of the longest green flag run so far, I expect the yellows are probably going to have a pretty tight stranglehold on the remaining 29 laps of this race. So, I don't know, Marty, if you were one of these drivers, would you say, okay, let's just come down pit lane now, worry about the final 30 laps away that they come, or do you wait for another yellow to come out to maybe delay that just a bit?
You know, with the way this race is going, I could sense another yellow inside the next 5 to 10 laps, possibly. Now I'm seeing Rogers and Colesall Jr., Briggs are going to top off on fuel, by the looks of things. And lights are off. We'll come back to the green. So Kemp selects the bottom. And knowing Kemp, I was chatting with him a little bit after the Lanier race we had a couple weeks ago. Just for about maybe a minute or two. I have a feeling that Kemp really wants this one badly, especially with it being his home track and coming oh so close to being Annunziata. Losing in that photo finish. So reset the field, coming back to the green flag. So it's Garland and Kemp, row 1. Jake Bowman restarts in 3rd. Same with Andy J next to him in 4th. Now, they all stayed out. Now, the Andy J. Maconi battle could get interesting as Jeff is going to restart 5th here on this restart. Trent Curtis next to him in 6th. Row 4, it is Klein and Ritchie. Sobilo and Flight round out the top 10. Couple laps from halfway here at MIS. As we are ready for the restart. So Kemp able to hold serve, but the inside line got the advantage of this restart. Here comes Bowman on the second groove. Trying to side trap, but a little bit tight there was Kemp. Slams the door on Bowman with some good defense there off the corner. Now will Bowman make the slingshot down the backstretch is the question. Waiting not too early, but look at this. Here comes Jeff Maconi shooting out of a cannon side by side for the race lead. Maconi, I don't know what he did on that restart. He gets a little bit tight. Frankie Klein underneath for 3rd. Bowman losing momentum. Sobolo up to 4th. Here comes a run by Garland. Down on the apron. 4 wide for position. A blinded restart out of nowhere, but it's Kemp that still leads. Oh, Bowman gets turned further back. Just off the bumper of Jason Ritchie. No caution flag. We stay green. 3 wide off for turn 2 meanwhile.
Oh. Oh, I still don't have a good feeling about this. These drivers packed in and squabbling as hard as they are. Contact is common. Drivers scattering farther behind, running off on the apron, fitting out nearly to 5 wide as they headed their way off through turns number 3 and 4. It's going to get tight on the squeeze.
Contact there, and around he goes off of the 11 of Curtis. The caution flag waves. Jake Bowman called it a race after the contact there in the 1. Wow, there was a lot to digest there off this restart. Now, Bowman's got no momentum after he got tight for a couple of moments. Need some contact here. Was sandwiched in, but car on the outside, though. That was Richie in the 21. And then this is what caused the yellow flag. Andy J. Big burst of steam, moving up to the 3rd position. Andy J has actually led at Michigan for a couple of seconds. A little bit of contact there. He dealt with 2 11s there. That was Garland in the 11 with the first contact that led to the door situation. And it just looked like Curtis had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I feel like I've said this a lot about the incidents here so far tonight. It's unfortunate, but not really surprising with how hard those drivers were battling. There's only so much you can work with here in Michigan, and unfortunately there for those 2 drivers, really nothing they could do in that situation. It's unfortunate for Cruz, it's unfortunate for Andy J, but how hard they were battling, I'm shocked it didn't end in catastrophe sooner.
It stops continue here, and now everyone is making a pit stop, tires and fuel. If they have that extra set, left. Checking in with the 8 people watching now. Thanks for joining us here on Maconi Entertainment. Let us know who you're rooting for. That's on the YouTube page. I haven't checked Facebook yet tonight, but let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. How about that fun finish to Nashville on Sunday, Ron? With Hamlin taking the win there.
You know, I will fully admit to the fact that I did not see it live. I saw it when I woke up the following morning. I do have the excuse of the fact that I've been suffering from a cold ever since about midway through the full-length Cup Challenge broadcast was when I started to feel a little bit ill this past Saturday. So I did not see the finish, but that was a pretty awesome finish. The Toyota's battling. There's definitely some people who are not a fan of Toyotas tuning into that race that were probably not a fan of that finish, but I thought it was pretty incredible seeing those drivers battling. And Denny Hamlin, I gotta say, that is a man who is aging like a fine wine here in the NASCAR world.
I was excited on Jane Van Gisbergen finishing 5th.
Yeah, I saw SVG running really well before I, ended up passing out, which I have a little story to share about this before we end up going green here because it's kind of funny. AJ Allmendinger was running well. Didn't he have a brake rotor issue? Didn't AJ have some sort of falling info come down?
A lot of people with brake rotor issues. I mean, that's what happens when you're on a flat track like Nashville. I think it was Village had it, Chastain had it. Can't recall who else.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but to the story that I was going to share before we go back green here. So because of this cold, I've been catching up on some Z's, shall we say. I've been resting quite a lot. And on Monday, my best friend and roommate walked into my bedroom to try and tell me something. And I was just there on my bed and took a photo of me. And it looks like I was the victim of a drive-by shooting there. It was not a good look. To the line, face first, flat on the ground.
Well, we're ready for the restart, and a new front 4 here. Klein and Rogers Jr., row 1. Taylor Butcher, Benjamin, Tyler Burns, row 2, followed by Curtis, Kemp, Maconi, Sobulo, Garland, and Bayard. That is the top 10 as we get set to come to green. We are past the halfway point. There are 23 laps to go. And Thomas Rogers Jr. caught sleeping on that restart. TBB looking for second.
No, frantic and hectic, nearly fanning out to 3 wide right behind. In fact, they are fanning out to 3 wide right behind. Formation flying as they head their way onto the backstretch, nearly making contact at the turn.
Sobilo was looking 3 wide, but didn't get the speed he needed. Now a run for Rogers Jr. for the race lead. See if he can get it to stick off the corner. Butcher Benjamin Bird still there. Pace laps at speeds of 195 miles an hour. It was Klein that got the advantage there at the line by a bumper. Both of them trying to block. Butcher Benjamin, does he look low? Yes, he does. It hinders the progress of Rogers Jr. and Klein is cleared, and he is gone. Bird's on the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. He's up to the second spot.
Ooh, his look at the 8 scrapping up there, trying to find something out on the high
Around
side.
goes Garland. And catches the inside tire pack.
And let's see when the world took place here. I was noting this ballsy move from the 8, but there you can see contact with Maconi.
Oh, nope. Garland tried to make the move and not clear. Yeah, watch this. Garland, I don't think noticed in the mirror here at the same time. Car inside.
As he nearly got some air underneath that 11 car, as this was a pretty violent and abrupt turn. You can see that stack up behind. There's the contact, tried to shoot the difference, shoot the gap. Unfortunately there, shot himself in the foot in the process.
All the flaps doing their job there, and luckily that's all asphalt there on the bottom. Not turning into grass, and this will be 1 degree this time by. Likely. Drivers will get a chance to pit, but a quickie yellow here. Under 20 to go.
Now, I gotta say, if there's been one word to describe the racing so far here, it has been frantic. Between the incidents and the green flag runs, I mean, when we have been racing, it has been, insanity.
Yeah, it gets pretty wild. We could say that. So, all right, 1 lap to the green flag, and Klein get on the bottom here on the restart. So, 4 other drivers pitting. Garland, Maconi, Martinez, and Briggs. I'll take it down pit road. 16 drivers remain on track, 14 on the lead lap. Klein and Burns, row 1. Butcher Benjamin and Curtis, row 2. Bayard and Rogers Jr., row 3. Sobilo and Kemp, row 4. And Andy J. and Richie round out the top 10. If you, by the way, are up in Michigan and headed to the NASCAR races this weekend, something I do want to add as well, make sure you head to a local Menards, as some of the drivers will be signing autographs. I believe Andy J will be signing out at the Jackson Menard. I got to double check on that, and I think Jeff is signing too. I saw a post on it. I didn't look at it too closely, but I'll confirm that for you all in just a moment. But we've got a restart here. Back to green. Oh, look at this. 3 wide with Bayard in the middle. See how this is going to be possibly, but it's Klein who holds serve. Curtis taking on to second. Burns gets a run. Nice push that came from Butcher Benjamin as the Michigan fast track driver. Looking for the runner-up spot. You get it to stick, though. Not the momentum, though, that Burns wanted. He loses it. Got scraped up in the wall, though, by Burns at the same time.
Oh.
Excuse me. The caution flag waves.
Now, that was probably the hardest hit that we have had so far here tonight. The 16 fires it off into the safer barrier after this contact. Is he 3-wide racing Eric Martinez? We follow him in that number 16 machine. You got Jeremy Briggs on the inside. There's a 21. A little bit of contact there with Briggs, and bam, straight into the wall there. Sledgehammer hit on the driver's side. That's probably the hardest hit we've had so far here tonight, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that was Richie, the 21. I got a little contact from Jeremy Briggs. Saw the Martinez there losing the front end. Richie losing both ends. And another quick yellow here. So Andy J is going to be at the Jackson Menards, I can confirm. I thought it was Jeff. It was actually Jeff's. I think his car owner, Alex Club, will be at the Belleville Menards. That's what it is. That is, that's tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. Should be 1 to green this time as we'll try to get things rolling here very quickly. While we are at it, some action happening around Maconi Entertainment this weekend. Just one broadcast this weekend as the Full-Length Cups Challenge has their Motor City 400. I'll be live at 8:30 on Maconi Entertainment. And I just got a confirmation here that Jeff will also be at Belleville Menards too. So make sure you get some autographs, take some pictures. I don't know how his signature is, but I don't know if he does a real-life signature or a virtual signature. Ready for the restart. Klein and Curtis, row 1. Butcher Benjamin and Burns, row 2. Sobilo and Bayard, row 3. In case you're wondering about where's Maconi and Jankowiak, they're 11th and 12th. Drivers being told on the radio to be smart. And we're ready to come back to the green flag.
Big stack up there in the mid portion as they got back up and rolling. It's very close up at the front between Klein and Curtis.
Oh, they're rubbing doors into 1. See if this helps out row 2, possibly. Sobilo almost looked low. TVB blinking for just a moment.
Oh,
big
and
bump drop
3
from
wide.
Butcher Benjamin, and yes, 3 wide. Here comes Klein. Going to thread up the middle. Matt Kempter tracking in the entry of 3 after a bumper from Garland. Curtis out in front. Here comes Butcher Benjamin, though. Ron for the race lead as they're 3 wide behind.
And side by side for that top spot, Taylor Butcher Benjamin not only battling for the race lead, battling for his own airnet connection, keeps getting abducted by a UFO, and now has the 77 of Cerbillo down the inside, heading into turn number 1 and 2. 77 looking for second here as they're still fending out contact with the 8.
ADDR semifinalists side by side. This is allowing Curtis to break the draft and pull away at the same time. Good entry from the 77. We 14 laps to go at MIS. And Maconi versus Jankowiak. If you're keeping score at home, Andy's in 8th, Jeff's in 10th. Still 2 by 2 into 1. Oh, hang on there, Tyler. What a save he makes. Oh, and hang on again, Garland in the 33. Heavy shot. right in front of Maconi. Andy J also involved. Same with Coldall. Many heavy hits.
I feel like this was only an inevitability.
Absolutely. As he tried to save it, man, he took 3 heavy hits there.
Just one hit after another. But again, with how hard those drivers were battling, it was only a matter of time before something like that went down. You can see the 11 just fires it off down to the turn, makes contact with the 33 head-on shot. Unfortunately, Maconi gets collected in that as well. Huge hit with the 12. That blows up his motor in the process. We've seen a couple of terrible front-end impacts to blow up engines so far here in this race. We need to keep a score count of them.
Drivers with nowhere to go. Obviously, Jeff gonna need if he has not used his quick repair, will have to use. I know Andy J was involved in a wreck earlier on, and so, you know, if we talk about the back of the field here, could this mean a possibility that could it be maybe Andy J possibly being Maconi for the first time in this head-to-head matchup?
Well, the both of them have had some pretty tough nights. You've seen the both of them get collected in incidents. They certainly have fast race cars. I've seen more of a spark out of Jeff on that restart, a couple of restarts ago, primarily down to the fact that he's come into the pits already here. So some fresher tires, I believe, at the time. But it's all really up in the air. I think it's just a matter of who is going to have the last falling anvil come down on them. That's really what matters here. As I will say, Jeff, I believe, just down the pits right now. So Maconi coming in for a pit stop. Where's Andy J right now? I'm looking through. Yeah, he's currently at 6th.
A lot of drivers pitting. It's basically all the damaged cars trying to fix optional here, or if not, quick repair then. Don't believe we're going to be doing a quick restart here at the moment. Oh, nope, we are going to. All right, the lights are off.
Yeah, so this cycle that we've been locked in so far here of green, yellow, with 12 laps left to go, I do not see it really coming to a close anytime soon. There could be a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, whether that is the end of this green-yellow cycle or whether that's a train coming in the opposite direction, I'll let the racing gods decide. But with a slightly cut down field, this could get very, very interesting with the driver coming in farther behind. That could get real interesting if they try and pack up and run this.
We've lost over half the field so far as we come back to green. 11 laps to go. Curtis leads. Old Serve, Burns and Sobilo racing for second. Sobilo trying to clear off the corner, and there goes Curtis once again. He's been very good at breaking the draft all night long. Now Garland threads his way through the needle. He is not afraid to get aggressive. Here comes Andy J in that 71 as well, looking for fifth.
Oh, let's look at the 16. He's got a monster run here. Is he going to try and make something work too there on the bottom? Field packed in big time as more drivers got a good run. That's Jeremy Briggs of the 48 car making some moves.
10 laps to go. Sobilo is clear, now trying to chase down Curtis for the second position. Andy J now up to third. Maconi is up to fifth. It's starting to get good at MIS, baby. And now Maconi gives Andy J a little bump draft down the back into turn 3. Garland had some help from behind as well. That's Rogers Jr. in the 2. Cuts him off. Leader Curtis breaking the draft. Andy J Scrapes the wall for just a moment. Maconi allows him to hang on to his line. 9 laps to go.
Although the battling is as intense as it ever really has been.
No! Andy J pancakes the wall, and Kemp is also involved as well. Jankowiak is in it. Caution flag waves. See what happened. Open in deep. Got the 71. And they have booted Garland out for rough riding.
Yeah, that got ugly real fast. Right as I was saying that, the drivers were battling about as hard as they ever have been, but it was feeling a little bit different. Case of deja vu as they came to blows heading through 1 and 2.
I think you could just see that coming.
Yeah, you kind of could. I think that 11 had been quite aggressive here in this race, had gone for some gutsy moves. We saw him go for a dive and kind of slide a bit earlier on here. So it's just a shame to see anybody get removed from a session, get kicked out that way, but contact made regardless. Drivers not happy with each other, but now as we get into the other closing stages here, within the final 10 laps of this race here, Marty, I'm not really sure exactly what we should expect heading off into the conclusion of this event.
So there should be 6 laps to go when we come to the green, and I don't know how many drivers we're going to have left on the track after that caution, but Kemp, Bayard, Briggs, and Andy J all making their way down pit road. And that this looks like the final laps of a clash from 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely getting 2020 crash throwbacks there. I remember watching that race after coming back home from some grocery shopping. That is my only recollection from that race, and being befuddled at the spectacle that ended up unfolding that afternoon. But this has been a wild race. Many drivers have learned that Michigan can definitely sting, and sting very hard. But now that we get to the end here, gotta wonder who's going to win this race primarily. Will we see a smooth run through to the end? And who's going to win out in the battle between Andy J and Jeff Maconi? We need to give Jeff a little nickname here as well. Jeffy M? Nah, that doesn't really work.
So 6 laps to go on this restart. Keegan, Sobilo, Maconi, Burns, and Rogers Jr. the top 5. Here we go for the restart. Andy J's got a big run here. He's trying to do it like Rowdy did in 2011. Oh no! No! Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I thought somebody was going to do that a bit earlier on here in this race, I'll be honest. But it seems like the racing gods did not respond very kindly to that.
And then
Golly.
there's 3, I think. No, then there's 4.
God, look at the ride that the 10 had and all of that.
I know,
that
yeah, Kemp.
Turned that car into a monster truck as he headed his way down to 1.
Watch the 10 here, fellas. Up on its side for just a moment. We've seen everything but a flip tonight.
Yeah, we haven't gotten close to seeing a couple upside down here. However, we haven't gotten a flipper yet. I'm not going to rule it out. We still have 5 laps left to go. But I will say, as we get towards the end of this race, which has been definitely a wild one for sure. I mean, the tension's already been high, and it's definitely building as we get towards the end. We do have 3 green-white checkered attempts in this race, so do have to consider that as something we may have to worry about here.
All right, I gotta admit, although with the way this race has been going on tonight, that was actually kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
You know, it's a busy world.
Yeah.
I come from a large family of mice.
We hope though that's not the case though this weekend. Hopefully we have a cleaner race than we have here on Friday. Henry Ford Health 200 Friday evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, live on FS2. I see a lot of those stars in. A lot of the drivers here in this race will be in Friday's race. Jeff Maconi will be in it. Andy J in it, obviously. Matt Kemp will be running it. I can tell you some of the entry list of the drivers that I know that are in here. Morgan Bayard, Jake Bowman, obviously. Let's see here, looking at the rest of this. Annunziata, who ran with us a couple weeks ago at Lanier. But one guy we've actually yet to talk about this weekend. Cletus is running on Friday, and I tell you what, it was cool watching Cletus run at Talladega and almost taking the win. And now that I've seen him run pretty well, he's actually really good for the sport.
Yeah, I think the only apprehension I have to Cletus McFarland is trying to explain it to my 68-year-old father. That's like trying to explain the existence of Red Bull to a medieval peasant.
Back to green. 3 laps of racing to go. 7 cars still with a chance to win it. By the way, something I do want to mention with that wreck, per scoring at the moment, Andy J is 9th and Maconi is 11th. So I believe that means Andy J wins his first matchup.
Unless one of them can come out of the pits in the dying breaths of this race, we'll have to see.
That'd be funny if that were the case. We'd have to watch that, but watching the race for the win, though, Trent Curtis trying to break the draft here of Keegan Sobilo. 2 laps to go. It's getting wild, though, from second on back. Jeremy Briggs. Okay, I don't want to be biased, but, you know, Jeremy's on the booth the last 2 races. I think he's taking notes from these guys.
Yeah, he's been able to learn. Yeah, he's been quick and definitely getting a big push there from the 2 behind.
Sobilo, though, drives it into 3 and 4 deep, trying to gain some steam off of Trent Curtis. White flag flies, though, this time by. We're on the final lap. The gap a quarter of a second between Curtis and Sobilo, but there is company from Morgan Bayard. That Maples Motorsports ride in 3rd. Can he try and grab a slipstream? Curtis all the way down the apron trying to break the draft. Into 3 and 4, Sobel looking for one final shot. Curtis slams the door in his face. The driver of the Fast Track Racing, Midas number 11. Off the corner, it's a hometown win for Trent Curtis. Checkered flag, he gets the job done in Michigan. Actually, correction, by the way, a hometown win, I should say, from Western New York if this were in Western New York, but Trent Curtis from Clarence Center takes the win.
And who won out in that battle between those 2, between Andy J and Jeff at the end of this race? I think they're still down the pits there, so Andy got it.
Maconi 11th. So, but Trent Curtis gets the job done. Let's take a look at the results here from this evening's race. Curtis the winner at a time of 52 minutes, 13 seconds. Sobilo in second, Bayard third, Burns fourth, Rogers Jr. fifth, Briggs in sixth, seventh, Taylor Butcher Benjamin. The only cars on the lead lap. Everyone else out of the race from eighth on back. Joseph Bobek. Actually, check that. Bobek did finish the race. Matt Kemp out of the race in ninth on back. Andy J in 10th.
And then looking at the back portion of your field, it's Jeff Maconi in P11, Matthew Garland in 12th, Frank Klein in 13th, Joseph Kozol Jr. in P14, Eric Martinez in 15th, Jason Ritchie in 16th place, Jake Bowman in 17th, Isaiah Flute in P18 with Corey Williams and Alexander Ortega running at your top 20. From here, everybody else running into trouble, obviously. It's Jack Leslie, James Dunn Jr., Dylan Alt, JC, and Brandon Lopez. 25 drivers classed here in this race, many of them falling short of the checkered flag.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see if we have any drivers that would like to talk with us. And I see the second place driver here with us this evening, Keegan Sobilo. And we'll let Ron take this one.
And welcome into the broadcast booth, man, Keegan. It was a good race from our perspective. Certainly entertaining. How was it from your perspective behind the wheel?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of chaos in that race, but still a great time. Kind of mad at myself a little bit for blowing, I think, 3 and 4 there with like 2 to go. Kind of just got too tight and kind of killed my run, but really good run tonight.
It looked like a very good race for you, all things considered, and frantic out there on the track. I want to ask you about battling here in these ARCA cars at Michigan. It looked just so difficult to try and manage every single time we saw some side-by-side battling. Even when it didn't result in fisticuffs breaking out, it just looked really tough there. Everybody getting some massive runs on each other, high speeds, and certainly high danger in the fights.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not really an ARCA guy. This is like one of the very few times I run this car. But it definitely was. It was a lot of chaos, right? I was trying to decide because I'm normally a Cup car guy. So in the Cup car, we don't really want to give up the right side. So I was kind of trying to play that game a little bit, but then kind of got tight a little bit up top. So I mean, you could just make any line around here work, which just made it a good time, right? Because it was just multi-groove racing the whole time, and you really couldn't go wrong with how you ran it as long as you're able to execute that line properly.
Yeah, so it works out well for you. You get a P2 when it's all done here, Keegan. But before we let you go and celebrate, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you to you guys and Jeff Maconi and everybody that put on this race tonight and the broadcast. Always fun to do some random stuff like this occasionally. But yeah, no, shout out to all my partners, Matrix Apparel, Mac Tools, Team Need You, Outdoors Restorations, Crawford Auto Repair, everybody who makes this operation as successful as it is. And we are ready to go after it here in about short 50 minutes in our Team Conti car tonight in the Cup car for NIS. So hopefully that'll be a good show tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack in the very near future. Keegan, thank you for joining us here in the booth, and we hope to see you wherever it is in the not too distant future.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, but that right there was Keegan Sobilo joining us here in the booth. Marty, I'll pass the mic back off to you.
Yes, our winner is with us, Trent Curtis. My fellow Western New Yorker, I should say, by the way, Trent Curtis getting the job done. Trent, nice dub tonight, and it was really all about that momentum and that clean air.
Bad and accidentally put in the wrong gear. I was hitting my rev limiter in the draft going down the straightaway, so I was thinking, man, I'm in trouble. But somehow it all worked out. Obviously, somehow I had a good setup in here. I truthfully have no clue what track this setup was for. I just looked at it and goes, oh, okay, it went good. So, but no, I think the biggest thing was having a car that could turn off the bottom of the corners. I had so many people who were so tight coming off corners, they'd just drive straight in the wall, and that's where I could get everybody was, I could just cut their air off and let them go in the wall. And once I got the lead, I knew I was quick, but I knew I didn't have a gear that really, I didn't think I was fast enough to pull away in the draft. So then, I've watched a lot of IndyCar. I've seen them snake. So I was like, I'm gonna do some snaking and break the drafts, and hopefully those guys behind me race. And the minus number 11 was pretty fast. I'm gonna make it brighter so my boy Andy J sees it. But no, it's all good and fun. I haven't won an iRacing event in a while, so it was nice to win one.
How much fun was it doing it alongside as well some of your fellow ARCA companions in the field?
You know, what's funny is that I was going back through doing some Watkins Glen prep, and one of the first races I ever did was an NASCAR race at Watkins Glen, like one of my first big iRacing events. And once you know it, Matt Kemp was in the field, and I didn't realize until all these years later. I was going through some stuff. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, it's the same guy was asking a million questions at Dover last year about how these ARCA cars work. So no, it's good fun to run with these guys. Obviously, some guys, I run with more than others, just based upon where we're at in the ARCA field. But this platform is fun to race with those guys. It's always fun to race with Andy J too. And Andy's helped me a ton in my career too. So it's great to race these guys and give a go on the ovals. Normally, I'm a big right turns guy, even though my background's dirt oval. But no, it's fun to win one of these oval races. Feels good.
Let's try. Who do you want to give shout outs to before I let you go?
Want to first give a shout out to Midas because Midas is the best. Midas Geneva for being on the board with the 11 at Watkins Glen. We are looking to run Lime Rock. We want to run both the road courses this year. We're still looking for some funding. So if anybody who's got sponsorship dollars is listening to this broadcast and would like to hop aboard the 11 to help us get to a few more races this year, we're more than willing, and hopefully we can bring the minus 11 to a minus machine to a track near you.
Alrighty, well, you had the golden touch, the Midas touch tonight for sure, so congratulations on the win, and go Bills and Sabres, right?
Absolutely, go Bills.
Alrighty, man, there you go. Trent Curtis, your race winner tonight, and with that, we will round things out with our fearless leader this evening, Jeff Maconi. Jeffrey, a wild one tonight, to say the least, but I gotta ask you, he finally got you in the head-to-head.
He texted me afterwards and he said, I held my line. And I really don't think you did, but he did get me after all. But no, it was so much fun. I love doing these races. It's so much fun. I get to practice a lot with Andy during the week, and then we sort of have this big event. But what people don't see is all the practicing we do individually, what notes we compare when we run together, all of that stuff. And then we talk a lot at the track. So I'm very, very, very lucky to have someone like Andy J, who's sort of taken me under his wing in a sense and is teaching me a ton. So yeah, he did finally get me. He's improving drastically on the sim racing side. Anyone that has sim raced with him before over the past year and a half knows that it was always a bit chaotic with him, but he's improved a ton, teaching me so much. So he got me tonight, but I'm feeling pretty good for Pocono that I'll be able to get him back.
So it sounds like we're gonna do that next week then.
Oh yeah, yep. We're gonna be running these for pretty much anywhere that we can. So we've got Pocono. Then I think Berlin and Elko are the weeks after. Then I think Lime Rock, which we do have. We don't have Berlin and Elko, so we'll figure something out for those. But yeah, we'll definitely be running more of these because it's really, really helpful, and that's why you're starting to see more drivers show up, because after the first race, a couple others came over, at the track, and we're like, hey, can I jump in on this? And then we got now have a group chat of a bunch of drivers that are all getting in on this. So it's still the Maconi Jankowiak because we sort of built it around our schedules, but it's really cool getting to run with a lot of these other drivers as well. And part of it is just hanging out with them is fun. We spend 20 weekends, half our year at the track together. So we all get to know each other quickly, but getting to run with them and compare notes and talk to them and build a good sense of camaraderie and cut each other more breaks at the real world track as well, I think, which is a lot of fun and very helpful to me, especially.
Well, Jeff, before we let you go, who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Just everyone that helps make all of this possible. There's so many incredible people that help behind the scenes for this race, especially. We've got Chastity Tucker, who is a realtor out of Clarksville, Tennessee. So if you are moving into or out of the area, she's absolutely your go-to. She's amazing. I spent last weekend with her and her family at the track at National Superspeedway. They invited Bridget and I to go hang out. That was a ton of fun. Steve Bonesteel. So some of you old iRacing heads might remember him. He's jumping on board with Michigan Insurance and Financial Services, so I'm very, very grateful to him. I have not raced with him in a couple years at least, but he reached out to me recently and was like, hey, I see you're doing this ARCA stuff. So great to see you, and I'm super excited to have him on board. Rocket Fizz Clarksville, Capriccio's Pizza, Bruzy Racewear, 4K Motorsports, and everyone who jumps on board each and every week to help make all of this possible. It would not be possible and would not be any fun without them. And then for Michigan specifically, we have K Manufacturing on board the car. Very, very excited to have them and have a lot of their leadership out at the track. So we're going to try and put on a great show for them. I think the car looks great. It should perform very well. We're feeling very confident for the race itself. Now I just have to execute behind the wheel and not screw up.
Well done, man. Great run, and best of luck this weekend, all right?
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Jeff Maconi, our fearless leader, getting set to go this weekend at Michigan for the Henry Ford Health 200, 5 p.m. Eastern Time Friday on FS2. Ron, final thoughts before we sign off.
Yeah, pretty hectic night here on Maconi Entertainment, but wildly entertaining throughout. Some awesome racing as well. I don't think we had a single point to breathe under green during that, and neither did these drivers. That was fun.
Absolutely was fun. So we will bid adieu and hope to talk to you again next week when in a couple. I don't know when Pocono is. It's sometime when the next ARCA race is, I believe, but we hope to talk to you then. On behalf of everyone here at Maconi Entertainment, my broadcast partners this evening, Howie Burrows in Mission Control, Ron Mons, Marty Sakala saying so long. Trent Curtis, your winner here in Maconi versus Jankowiak, round 3 at MIS. Thanks for joining us.